Buddy, sit down for a minute. I'm going to tell you an incredible story. After you hear it, the way you look at your life is going to change. Because I'm not telling you this from books. I learned it over years in the stock market, taking real risks with real money. Ready? Let's get started. Picture two brothers who grew up in the same house. They came from the same parents and went to the same schools. Throughout their lives, the same opportunities came their way.
They even went into similar careers and earned almost the exact same salary. But by the time they reached 65, the picture was drastically different. The first brother retired with $1.4 million in investments, a paid-off house, and complete financial freedom. He spends his winters in Arizona and helps his grandchildren with college costs. He never even looks at prices when he's at a restaurant. The other brother retired with just $180,000 in savings and still has 12 more years left on his mortgage.
He can't sleep at night from money stress. His pension isn't enough, so he works part-time at a hardware store. He lies there doing math about whether to buy his medication or pay his property tax. Same genes, same upbringing, same earning power, but completely different outcomes. So where did these paths split, you ask? Not in their 20s, because both of them were still young and broke.
Not in their 30s either, because both were building a family and a career. Definitely not in their 50s, because by then the road was already paved. This divergence happened entirely in their 40s. One brother made a series of small-seeming decisions in that decade. The other brother made completely different decisions that also seemed small. Neither of them realized it in the moment, but those decisions were shaping the rest of their lives.
That's exactly why your 40s are the most critical financial decade of your life. The impact of those decisions compounds over time, and you usually don't notice until it's too late. Now, I'm going to show you why this decade is so powerful. I'll walk you through the decisions that separate comfortable retirement from stressful retirement. And whatever age you are right now, I'll tell you what to do about it. First, you need to know this. Your 40s are where three powerful financial forces intersect. These forces never come together at any other point in your life. The first force is peak earning power. For most professionals, income peaks somewhere between ages 42 and 55. Even if raises slow down, your paycheck is the highest it's ever been. This is the period when you have the most raw material to build wealth. Someone earning $120,000 at 45 can save more than at any other career stage. The second force is the compounding time you have left. At 40, you still have 20 to 25 years until retirement. Based on historical returns, that's enough time for your money to roughly quadruple. A dollar invested at 40 becomes about $4 by 65. A dollar invested at 50 only becomes about $2.50, and at 55, only about $2. This multiplier drops fast as time passes. Your 40s are the last decade where meaningful compound growth is still possible. The third force is expense stabilization. By your 40s, many major expenses have peaked or started to decline. Kids become more independent, and the house you once stretched to afford now fits your budget. This creates a margin, and the question is whether it goes into savings or gets swallowed by lifestyle spending. When these three forces come together, they create a rare period of leverage. The person who captures this alignment builds serious wealth. The person who misses it runs into mathematical limits that can't be overcome. Now, let's look at some real numbers. Say you're 40 with $100,000 saved, earning $110,000 a year. You reasonably save 15% of that, which is $16,500 a year. Invest that in index funds, averaging 8% annual returns from 40 to 65. You'll reach roughly $1.35 million by retirement. Plenty for a comfortable life with Social Security. But say you only save 5% during your 40s, then bump it up to 15% at 50,
once retirement feels urgent. You'll end up with only about $780,000 at retirement. That's $570,000 less, even though the cut only lasted 10 years. Here's why. Your 40s contributions have 25 years of compound growth ahead of them, while your 50s contributions only have 15. That leverage of time can never be recovered by saving more later. Now, think of a third scenario. Same person, same $100,000 at 40, but instead of saving, they cut contributions to fund a bigger house, fancier cars, and pricier vacations. Their average contribution through their 40s drops to just 2%. At 50, reality hits, and they panic, trying to catch up by saving 20% all the way to retirement. Despite that, by 65, they only end up with about $590,000.
Their comfortable 40s cost them $760,000 compared to the consistent saver. A decade of decisions can create a gap that a decade of correction can't close. Now, let's go through the decisions that matter most, one by one. I'm not telling you this just to talk. I'm telling you this because it can genuinely change your life. The first decision is about housing. Your 40s bring the urge to upsize your living space. The kids are older and need more room. You've earned success and want a home that reflects it, and the payments look manageable given your income.
But here's the thing, buddy. This housing upgrade might be the single most consequential decision of your life. Say you move from a $350,000 home to a $600,000 home. Your monthly housing cost rises by roughly $1,500 to $2,000. Over 25 years, that's $18,000 to $24,000 a year you can never invest. Compounded over time, that gap costs you $900,000 to $1.3 million in retirement wealth. That house upgrade literally costs you about $1 million. I'm not saying nobody should ever buy a bigger house.
I'm saying most people don't understand this decision's real cost. They think they're spending an extra $1,800 a month, but they're actually spending over $1 million of retirement wealth. The family that stays modest and invests the difference gets options the upgraded family never has. They can retire earlier, help their kids buy homes, and get through emergencies without disaster. The second decision is about vehicles. Your 40s tend to bring more expensive car purchases. The practical sedan gets swapped for a luxury car. Two $45,000 cars instead of two $28,000 cars means $34,000 more in debt. It also means higher insurance and repair costs. Over time, this vehicle premium costs $200,000 to $400,000 in retirement wealth. The third decision is about your children's education. Your 40s are typically the most expensive years of raising kids. Some families take on over $100,000 in student loans for prestigious schools. Some cash out retirement accounts, and some stop contributions entirely during the college years.
Every one of these choices mortgages the parent's retirement for the kid's education. The kid graduates into their peak earning years with a whole career ahead of them. The parent enters their 50s with a drained nest egg and barely a decade to recover. Families who navigate this well make uncomfortable choices. They require their kids to go to state schools or scholarship schools and to contribute through work or loans. They keep contributing to retirement even under college bill pressure. The fourth decision is about career risk tolerance.
Your 40s offer chances for career moves that could seriously boost your income. But most people get more risk-averse right when they should take strategic risks, because letting go of comfort feels threatening. Yet your 40s are your last real window to accelerate your income, since hiring discrimination starts affecting opportunities after 50. Someone who takes a risk at 43 still has time to recover if it fails. Someone who waits until 53 doesn't. The income gap between staying comfortable and pursuing growth can exceed $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Over a decade, that's $300,000 to $400,000.
The fifth decision is about lifestyle inflation. Your 40s bring social pressure to show off your success. Coworkers take lavish trips, neighbors renovate their kitchens. Some families resist that pressure and keep their current lifestyle. Others match their peer group and let every extra dollar go to visible spending. The retirement gap between these two approaches usually exceeds $1 million, and that's just from money spent to look good. Now let me tell you about David and Christine, a great example of how these decisions compound.
David and Christine got married in their late 20s. By 40, they had $185,000 in retirement savings and a modest home worth $320,000, with $180,000 left on the mortgage. They had 2 kids, ages 12 and 9, and a combined income of $165,000. They had decisions ahead of them about how to spend the coming decade. David pushed to upgrade their home. A comparable house in a nicer neighborhood cost $575,000. Christine hesitated, but eventually agreed, and the upgrade raised their monthly costs by $1,650. They balanced it out by cutting retirement contributions from 15% to 6%, telling themselves it was temporary. 2 years later, David's car broke down, and instead of fixing it, they decided he deserved something nicer. They bought a new SUV that added $680 a month to their expenses. A year after that, Christine's car got upgraded too. Their kids' high school years brought private sports training, SAT tutoring, and college visits. Their first child enrolled at an out-of-state university, and instead of asking her to pick a cheaper school, they took out a parent loan.
Throughout their 40s, David and Christine never felt irresponsible. Every single decision seemed reasonable on its own. By 50, their retirement accounts had only reached $240,000, just $55,000 more than they had at 40. This was despite a decade of contributions and market growth. Once the kids were finally independent, they decided to catch up and maxed out their contributions. By 65, they'd saved $685,000, which felt like a lot until they ran the retirement projections. Those projections showed they'd likely run out of money by 82. They'd have to sell the house, cut expenses drastically, or keep working into their 70s. Now let me tell you about Robert and Jennifer. At 40, they looked strikingly similar to David and Christine. Combined income of $155,000, savings of $165,000, and 2 kids, ages 11 and 8. Robert suggested upgrading to a bigger house, but Jennifer pushed back hard. She'd read about the mathematical impact housing decisions have on retirement, and they decided to stay in their current home. That felt like a sacrifice at first, but the $1,650 monthly difference flowed straight into their retirement accounts. When Robert's car needed replacing, they bought a certified pre-owned car instead of new. When college came around, they had honest conversations with their kids about cost. Both kids went to state universities on merit scholarships. Throughout their 40s, Robert and Jennifer felt like they were swimming against the current. Their lifestyle looked modest next to their peers. By 50, their retirement accounts had reached $580,000, more than tripling in 10 years thanks to aggressive saving and market returns. By 65, they'd accumulated $1.65 million, and their house was paid off.
They could fully retire, travel extensively, and never worry about money again. The gap between these two families didn't come from different incomes or different investing skill. It came entirely from different decisions made in their 40s. Here's what strikes me most about these two stories. During their 40s, both families felt equally satisfied with their lives. Research shows lifestyle inflation only gives a temporary happiness boost. Within 18 to 24 months, people just adjust to their new normal.
David and Christine didn't actually enjoy their 40s more than Robert and Jennifer. They just spent more. That extra spending gave them no lasting satisfaction, but it permanently limited the rest of their decades. Now, let me give you concrete advice based on where you currently stand.
If you're in your 20s or 30s, you're lucky because you have this knowledge ahead of time. You now know your 40s will pressure you to expand your lifestyle right during peak earning years. So build the habits now that will protect you later.
Set up automatic retirement contributions you'll never reduce. Decide for yourself what enough looks like before your income makes excess possible. If you're entering your 40s, you're at the most important financial turning point of your life. The decisions you make in the next 10 years will decide whether you retire comfortable or stressed. Audit every major expense category right now. Is your house actually the right size for your needs? Are your vehicles transportation or status symbols?
Are you funding retirement before lifestyle? Every yes to lifestyle expansion is a no to retirement security. If you're at the tail end of your 40s, you still have time to change direction. Every percentage point you add to your savings rate now will improve your outcome. Consider radical options your lifestyle-inflated peers won't consider. Downsize your house now instead of in retirement. Sell expensive vehicles. Take a higher-paying job, even if it requires a change. If you're already past your 40s with inadequate savings, focus on what's still in your control. Delay Social Security to maximize your benefit. Consider working longer and downsize your home to release equity. Now, let me explain the psychology underneath all these decisions. Being frugal in your 40s feels hard because it feels like you finally earned the right to enjoy your success. After 20 years of work, the urge to finally live well feels completely justified. So, when does that gratification actually arrive? This is the trap that catches most people. Lifestyle expansion gives you temporary pleasure, followed by permanent limitation. The upgraded house feels exciting for 18 months, then becomes normal, while permanently shrinking your retirement savings. The luxury car is thrilling for a year, then it's just a car, while permanently limiting your options. Real gratification isn't found in consuming your peak earning years. It's found in converting those years into permanent freedom. The person who resists lifestyle inflation feels genuine gratification every day of their comfortable retirement. The person who inflated their lifestyle feels genuine stress every day of their constrained retirement. The discomfort of frugality in your 40s lasts 10 years, but the reward lasts more than 30. The pleasure of indulgence in your 40s lasts 2 or 3 years, but the consequence lasts more than 30. Now, picture yourself at 70, sitting on a porch, the morning quiet. In one version, you're thinking about which grandchild to visit this month, planning a trip you've always wanted to take. You're relaxed because unexpected expenses don't threaten you. In the other version, you're calculating if this month's check covers your medication. You're worrying about what happens if your car needs repairs, anxious about a future with limited options. Both versions of you made their 40s decisions decades earlier, and both are living with the consequences. Which version you become depends almost entirely on ages 40 to 50. Not on luck, not on income, but on decisions about housing, vehicles, education, career, and lifestyle. Those decisions compound, just like money does. Buddy, your 40s are going to end, sooner or later, whether this decade passes with intentional choices or default ones. The only real question is which version of your 70-year-old self you're creating. Your 40s are going to decide everything. And that's not a burden. That's an opportunity. What you do with it is entirely up to you. Let me leave you with the biggest lesson I've learned in the stock market. Money never rushes, but time never waits. So get up, sit down today, look at your numbers, and review your decisions. Don't put it off, because I genuinely care about you. I want you to be the version sitting on that porch, smiling, at peace. All right then, it's on you now. The floor is yours.